Good morning and welcome back to my channel, The Reclusive Crafter. My name is Dawn. If you haven't been here before, welcome for the first time, and if you've had a look before and dropped by, welcome back. If you could subscribe to my channel and share, that would be lovely, and if you like what you see, if you could give me a thumbs up as well, that would be great as well. I'm kind of continuing today with the Recipe Keeper journal. I have done a few little bits since my last video, and I'll share those with you. But what I also want to do today is go through a lovely book that I found. I've mentioned it before, that was my mother-in-law's, and I'm just going to share that with you now and just go through it, because there's some fabulous stuff in here that will be added into the journal throughout its creation. So this was the book that I found originally. And in here is an absolute host of all different things that I want to try and develop and put into the journal. As I opened it up, I came across these, which I thought were absolutely adorable. All about pastry, little booklet there, very old, takes you all through how to make different types of pastries. There's some lovely illustrations in here as well, and I thought they would be nice if I could perhaps incorporate them into these pockets that I made. I'm not quite sure that they're going to fit, but I thought if I could get them to go into these little bag pockets, that would actually look really nice. I did try one of them and one of them did fit. There we go. So that is going to be my intention. I just need to work out how to do that without either splitting the page or having to alter the book in any way. So I just need to find 3 pockets that they'll fit in. So those will be incorporated in there. And I've got 3 of these. So I've got all about pastry, I've got all about buns and scones, and again there really are some lovely little illustrations in these books, and I don't know how old they are, but they were my mother-in-law, so I'm guessing somewhere in the sort of 50s or 60s, I would hazard a guess. And then there's also all about fruitcakes. She baked lovely fruitcakes, and again some really lovely illustrations there to be able to incorporate those in. So those are going to be put into 3 of the little pockets that I've already incorporated in the way of bags. There was also, I found this, Belling Classic Recipes. Again, quite an old little book. I can't find a date anywhere on it, but again, there's some lovely little bits and pieces in here. If electric cooking is new to you, so it shows you how old it is, and goes through all the little bits and pieces. There's cooking temperatures and conversions, a ready reckoner for your meats, fish dishes. So there's lots of little things in there, and I thought what we could do from this, I think it's too big to incorporate it as one item. But I think we might be able to possibly make some little cards out of it, for slotting in some little recipe cards or something, or even just copy them and add them to some recipe cards rather than actually destroy the book itself. So I need to work out what I'm going to be doing with that one. In the book there was lots of paper that she used to write out all her recipes, and I'll show you that now. I just want to make sure I've got you in view, which I have. So I'm just going to run through this very quickly for you so that you can have a look at it. But there was a Creda book. Creda was a big name in cooking many years ago. I don't know if it still is, but again, lots and lots of recipes in here, from quite an old book. No real illustrations as such, but again something that I can pull from to be able to put together some little recipe cards potentially. And then there was loads and loads in here of cutouts from magazines. She used to get things like Woman's Weekly and that type of thing, and she used to cut out all of the recipes. So there's lots of those that I could utilise the little designs for journal cards and things. And then she used to write everything out, so I was thinking about and she used to stick them onto these paper sheets, and what I was thinking of doing is cut some of those out and make some journal cards out of them, which I think would be lovely. And then this would make a nice gift for one of the ladies in my family. And as you can see, she wrote everything out by hand and added it in here with little illustrations as well. And whilst I'm not going to be able to use absolutely everything, I think it will make a beautiful little addition to the book and make it really quite individual, like I say, for one of the members of the family. Say loads and loads of cutouts that she did, all about various recipes and things. And then there was literally whole pages of things here that she did, with pictures and things that I might be able to use, and again make journal cards from, which are beautiful. And then there's lots of things that she had in here for housekeeping. So Stain Devil, I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but there was a little thing that she cut out to say which one to purchase for what particular stain. A food freezing guide, which is just lovely. This is actually a colour, and I will be inserting this because I think that will make a lovely insert, a little fold out insert there, which is very decorative. So basic rules for successful freezing. There's an old Breville. If anybody's ever had a Breville, there's a really old one here about how to use it and how to look after it. Again, just a nice little insert there. And then there's one here for a Braun multi-cook, not multi-cooker, a multi, what do they call them? I can't remember. But for cooking anyway. And then again, this is all quite vintage. Looking at the clothing there, I would say that's probably late 60s, early 70s. So again, very, very vintage. Lots and lots of little pictures in here that I might be able to pull from as well. And like I say, even if I don't actually cut them out of the booklet, I may be able to take copies of some of these items. I mean, that's just beautiful. Take copies out of some of these items and make some journal cards or some little inserts or pockets, just to give the overall journal a little bit more interest and vibe. Not that it's not already interesting. There's already some absolutely beautiful pictures and things, and inserts and ephemera that come with the kit itself, but to personalise it a little bit and to incorporate some of these things from my mother-in-law, I think would be a lovely addition. And then we've got a Delia Smith's Guide to Fish Cookery that she had. Again, beautiful illustrations in here. These are all, I mean, that's just lovely. That would make a beautiful pocket, perhaps. I suppose it just depends on what your interests are and what you like. And again, that there is a lovely design as well. Yeah, there's some really nice things in here. I'm really looking forward to working with some of this actually and adding some of this into the journal in the best way I can. So that's really lovely. There's the Making Most of Your LEC Freezer. I'm not even sure LEC still exists, to be honest with you. But the lovely little cartoon designs in here, and how to look after your freezer, which actually would apply to any freezer regardless of what make or brand it was. And how to keep your meats and your vegetables and dairy produce, etc. So yeah, something to look through there. There's a basic baking guide from McDougall's. Again, just basic typo and illustrations here, just little pencil illustrations, which I think are quite cute. Yeah, so again, there's lots and lots of nice little bits and pieces, and then more and more cutouts and things used there. And then you may recall as well that there was a little booklet that I'd found that I did want to incorporate, and I've gone ahead and designed the pocket for that. So I'll show you that. So that's my mother-in-law's bits and pieces that I'm going to be working through to see what I can achieve from those. And then the pocket itself, so I've designed this little pocket. It's literally, just to give you some dimensions, not that it's really relevant because obviously this was designed specifically for this little booklet that I went through with you guys. So I've made a pocket to fit that, and I'm going to be popping it on the inside of the journal. And to fit it completely, it's about 20 centimetres, which is about 7 3/4 inches, and the overall width was 15.5 centimetres, which was about 6 1/8 of an inch. And then I made a literally just a small 1/8 of an inch gusset, which is about 1/2 centimetre, so the book can actually slide into the pocket when it's completed. And then just made some edges there so that can be stuck into the journal itself. So that's, I'm going to stick this in today, and I'm also going to be doing some other bits and pieces. So hopefully you'll join me along the way, and let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is to stick this little pocket in, and I want to put that on the front. And the way I've designed this is that I've chosen exactly the same design as the inside of the journal, and the idea is when that's actually on there, it'll actually form part of the page, so that it's almost an invisible pocket. Once it's in there, it should fit in nicely with the full page, and it'll just look like an invisible pocket. So that's my plan with that. So let's see if we can get that stuck down to start with. So I hope you're all having a lovely bank holiday weekend. The weather seems to be holding up. I'm in the Midlands, and the weather seems to be holding up here, although I think down in the south they've probably had worse weather than we've had. But it seems to be holding up here. The rain that we have had has been overnight, so it hasn't really affected us, which is good. Okay, Okay, I'm going to have to apologise if my head gets in shot now, Annie. I just need to make sure that this fits so that it's actually in line with the design on the page itself. So I apologise now if my head gets in your way, but I just want to make sure that this all lines up once it's in place. In actual fact, I think we're probably a lot easier than it was first looking it was going to be. I think we're about there with that. That looks good. Seems to be there. Perfect. Now I'm going to leave that to dry before I add the little booklet in. Just make sure I've got that. Might be a little bit. Okay, hopefully that will take. And then I'm just going to try that little booklet just to make sure that has stuck as I wanted it to. That's not stuck down on that side. I didn't think that had taken there, so or maybe I've just tried to put the pocket in a little bit too soon. Let me just add a bit more glue on there. That's the trouble with maybe I should have used Fabri-Tac. It would give me a bit more time. glitter glue does tend to dry very, very quickly. Hopefully that'll take, and I'll be able to get that booklet in. It won't be too much of a nightmare if I do have to take it out, hopefully, and redo it, but we shall see. There we go. Right, I'm just going to leave that to dry for a few minutes so that it doesn't wreck it. I think that's lined up pretty well there. Quite pleased with that. And then that little booklet is going to slip into the pocket, so we'll wait and see how that fits in. So since your last visit, I've put in a couple of little pockets. Again, looking through all the bits and pieces that I've got, I have got this, which is a recipe book that I started putting together. I think it was probably back in the 80s, the Working Woman's Recipe Collection, and it was supposed to help me, because I was a working mum, and it was supposed to help me still produce good meals for the family. I'm not going to lie, I didn't use it very often because I wasn't overly keen on the recipes that were in there, but what it has provided me with are some lovely little bits and pieces that I can take from it, like these cards. And I've used some of these cards as pockets in the journal, and I'm also taking out just a few of the little recipes to add in, just to give it a little bit more individuality. And I've used some of the ephemera that actually come with the kit, from Scrimping Mummy Recipe Keeper Journal, just to add a little bit of embellishment. And this is one of the cards that I've taken out. I've cut it down to size, but I haven't lost anything by doing it. And on the reverse side, it even gives you the work plan, the ingredients and the methods. And back in the 80s, microwaves were just becoming into their own, and it gave you how to cook things using the microwave as well as an alternative. And then it gave you tips and storage and whether or not what you were cooking was suitable for freezing. So you've got all of your details there. I'm just slotting that in. And as I've explained previously, each signature, there's 3 signatures in my journal, and each signature will have a similar theme in each signature, so that, did I say enough? Each signature's enough there. Yeah, so that it gives you continuity throughout. So that's in the first journal, so that, first signature, and that's the starters. And then in the second one we've got the main courses, and in there I put in a tuna casserole. I'm not even sure if anybody would like that, to be honest with you, but it's quick and easy to do. And again, you've got all your details on there, and I've tried to cut these down quite sympathetically so I didn't lose any of the information. And again, just embellished with a few things that you might use in a main course. And then what I'm going to do now, on the third signature, if I can just get to that, on the third signature we've got our desserts. So I'm just going to go in and stick this in. And then find some embellishments to add to it as well. So these are my little notes that I know what I'm doing on each pocket or on each page. So let's see, that's going to stick down that way, so we want to put glue in here. I think my glue technique is getting a bit better, guys. Let me just pop that pin back in. I am the world's worst at leaving that out. There we go. Okay, and then I just want to line this up so that it's not completely to the edge. There we go. So that's that. Sorry about my hand in front of the camera. I just want to get a little cloth there just to wipe the edge. And then let's find some little bits for the design. So that's very cute and that's very lovely. That's rather nice as well. The ephemera that comes with this kit is absolutely lovely. And again, I have found a few other little bits and pieces to use as well, which is nice. I think when you buy kits, or you find kits that you want to use for journals, I don't know about you, but I tend to add a lot of bits and pieces of my own as well, just to make it a little bit more individual. Some people just prefer sticking with what's available to them, but I do like to make sure that things are a little bit more personalised, and especially if I'm giving it as a gift. I haven't sold any journals yet. I tend to gift them to family and friends, and when I'm doing them as gifts, I tend to try and make it specific to that person if I can as well. Right, I've pulled out a few bits and pieces here to see what'll work. I'm just going to have a look now at how I want to do this. I think she looks kind of nice there. And the decorating, I always find, is the bit that takes the longest. Don't we like that? I want those cherries to show, but I feel that that needs to go that way round. I don't want to cover them up. So that'll work about there, I think. And then if I just bring the cake in somewhere around there, that looks nice. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, I'm just going to pop a little bit of ink around the edges. Again, this is something that some people like, some people don't. So absolutely individual choice. I could have gone round and fussy cutted all the white out, but I quite like the white edging. I think it just gives a little bit of more definition to things, and also gives you the opportunity to just distress around the edges if you like doing that. And again, if you're not an inker, you can, like I say, you can always just take out the white around the image, which would give less need to feel that you've got to distress. I just bought myself some new daubers as well, so that I'm not ending up with bits all over my work like I was last time. I can't remember if this is part of the Scrimping Mummies set or not, but I found this as well, which I thought goes really nicely in the journal. There we go. Give that there. Okay, so we were going to put her there, and we were going to put that there. And then we were going to put that behind. So if I stick that one on first, everything's moved, so it's not going to be exactly the same, but never mind. Okay, so let's pop her back there so I can just get an idea of where that's going again. And I'm just going to pop that probably about there, I think will do. There we go. That's the first piece on. This is my favourite bit of doing journals, just all the fiddling about and the adding bits in and deciding what goes where. And some people go for a more minimalist approach. God, try saying that. For those of you that have seen my work at all will know that I am by far a minimalist when it comes to art and journaling. Just this final little piece on. I hope you're enjoying the journey with me, and there's going to be quite a few videos on this, and I've done this little collection mainly for new journalers that are very new to journaling, so that they can see the process from start to finish and maybe get some ideas as to what they want to do themselves. There we go, that's the desserts done, and now what I need to do is just find a little tuck in, so I'm just going to pop that over there a second, and I'm going to bring this book up, and I'm just going to go to the dessert section and find something appropriate to go in there. If I can find anything with cherries, because there's a lot of lovely little bits and pieces in this particular kit with cherries. So it would be nice if I could find something to go along with that. But if I can't, we'll just have to see. The other thing I need to be conscious of as well is I do need to cut these down. So I need to make sure that the instructions on it aren't too much, that I can cut it down. Oh, that looks nice. That's cherries. Let's take that one out as a possibility. That's nice. And then let's just see if we've got anything else that would work. I'm giving you a nice walkthrough on this this recipe book. Just raspberries, I guess. Chocolate fondue, pears. If I'd have thought about it, I could have found this before I started today and saved us all a bit of time, but it's quite nice to have a little walk through some of these recipes. Let's have a look. Nope, nothing really there that catches. Let's have a look here. It looks like we might go with the Kissel. Is that how you pronounce it? Kissel? Kissel? There. Oh, chocolate gâteau. Fresh fruit tart. Summer pudding. Gosh, I haven't had one of them for a long time. Right, I'm going to go with the Kissel because that's got the cherries in. And we're going to cut this down to fit. Now I'm going to use one previously as a little template for cutting down. If I can find where it was. There we go. Just I get the right size. Now I know I cut. Now then, that's going to be awkward because that goes over those holes. I did cut the hole punches off on the others. But that doesn't look like it's going to be a possibility this time, so I'm going to have to leave a little bit of that in, which is fine. And it doesn't take too much off the other side. So I'm going to go about midway on that, and we'll just be left with a couple of little indentations on the card, which I don't have an issue with. I am doing this by eye. Yeah, I think that'll probably be okay. As you can see, the little bit that I've had to leave on the edge there, I'm going to have to take over. Although, do I actually need to take it off? Will it fit? Not really. Yeah, I don't. Because of that line there, I don't think I can get away with cutting that all off, to be fair. Okay, I'm going to leave it on. Not ideal, but it's okay. Let me just see if that will work width-wise without having to take any more off. I am just gonna take a little bit more off. I think it's just a little bit too close to the center, which will mean that it'll cause the journal to bend out further, and I don't really want that. So I'm just going to line that up on the other side, just so that I've got the width about the same. So that'll be about there. Can't quite get that then. I think I just took a slither off the other one, but never mind. Okay, that's better. Just going to pop that. Where's my bin gone? There it is. Pop that in there, and then we took off this section at the top. Just want to make sure. Yeah, just going to take that little section off the top. That's that piece done. And then height-wise, it's just gonna up there. That'll be fine. So I'm just going to take that off about there. And hopefully that's roughly the same sort of size. Yeah, that'll do nicely. And I'm just going to round off the corners. Oh, that was my knee, sorry. Just going to check that you're still in shot there, because yeah, that's good. I just whacked the desk. Right then, that's that one done. Get rid of the little bits and just put a little bit of ink around the edges just to take the whiteness off. And then just around the other side, just the tiniest little bit. And that's quite nice because it just leaves a little bit of space there if you want to make your own notes or anything. I'm not gonna lie, I've never actually made hardly any of these recipes, so I've absolutely no idea what they're like, but I'm sure with the right cook they could be absolutely fabulous. Yeah, my cooking's okay, but I wouldn't say it's fabulous. Right then, we're just going to tuck that one in there. And that's really cute. And then I'm going to pop that one back where I got it from, which was in the starters. Right then, so that's those three now done. So each signature now has got one of those in it. I did also do a little library card pocket as well, and that was for the half insert that I did with the cards. So I'm just going to make another couple of those as well, and I haven't even decided yet what I'm going to make them with. That there was just a little bit of felt that I just made a little piece of toast from, and a spoon, and a little, I stole one of the tags. If you have looked at any of my other videos, I made these, or one of these, with all the little bits of ephemera from Scrimpy Mummy's Journal Keeper kit, and I stole a little tag out of here just to pop in there. I may well steal a few other little bits out of here and replace them afterwards, because I do think they're really cute, which is lovely. So we'll maybe steal a few more bits out of there and remake them. I've done the recipe card bits, and for those of you that haven't seen my other video, that's just got a little insert in it to put a photo of that particular recipe. So they just slot in and out there. And what else have I done since I last saw you? These little envelopes, that's what I wanted to do. I've got a little envelope here. So there's a couple of different designs of these in the kit, and I've made up the envelopes. Haven't decided yet what I'm going to put into them, but I'm just going to show you how to pop one of those together. They're really, really simple to do. And as you can see here, it's just an envelope clip in. So these little envelopes are just going to be, there's going to be one clipped into each of the signatures. Just get rid of that little note now, I don't need it. I just need to find something, something to go in that. And then the other one, in the second signature, I use the second design for that. God, I can't get my words out today. And then on the third signature, I'm going to use the same as the first one again. So this is the envelope, and I've got it all cut out and ready to go. If you want to score down the lines, you can do. I'm not going to lie, I'm not very good at scoring. I tend to mess up a little bit when I'm scoring. So for these sort of things, I just tend to put the ruler along and just bend up a little bit, and I find I get the edging more where it's supposed to be by doing that. Some people are really good with scorers, and I do use them from time to time. It really just depends on what I'm doing. Like if I'm scoring down the centre of a page or something, I will use the score board. But I just find this just as easy to do just with a straight ruler. That's that side done. And then if you do get this kit, you'll find that there's a little line, just faint little dashed line that goes along there, just to fold in the lip of the envelope. And just to give you a guide as to where to fold it. And always take your time with these things. Hopefully when you do your crafting, you're not in too much of a hurry, and it's just nice to get things straight. It does make a difference. And again, just the final one. Just bend that up. And for those of you that don't have a scoreboard, of course, this is quite an easy way to get your score lines straight as well. And then just fold over like that. Okay, and that's the basis of the envelope. And so now I'm just going to go in and glue it together. When you're doing your gluing, just check where your glue needs to be. Just make sure that your envelope's lining up. I've done that and I'm not happy with how that's lined up at the moment, so I'm just going to just ease it back into place. I think it might actually be my cutting of the template, because that seems to be overhanging there. So I'm just going to trim that little bit. It helps if I can see what I'm doing. Where was it? There. Just gone off the line a little bit there. I'm just going to re-trim that. There we go, just the tiniest little bit, and that has made the difference. So I'm going to glue down these lines, because when you fold it over, if you look, it doesn't go all the way to the top. So if you were to glue the gusset section, you'd end up with glue where you don't want it to be. So I'm just going to glue down those outside lines. In actual fact, I'm just going to take that tiny little bit off the bottom there. And the reason for that is because with these being mitered edges, if you take the glue all the way down, sometimes the glue can go inside there and you'll end up with your pocket sticking shut, which isn't great. So again, just leaving a tiny little gap there at the bottom so that your glue doesn't go on the inside of the envelope. And then holding your gussets down, just gently fold that over, and there we go. And there, that that's nicely into place. Okay, and then if you want to be really on the safe side, you can just pop your ruler down and just make sure that there's nothing sticking there that shouldn't be. The glitter glue, like I say, it does dry relatively quickly, so you can be pretty sure that if you can get your ruler all the way down, you're going to be quite safe there. And then fold that over. Look how pretty that is. And then that's the third envelope. So as you can see, I planned part of my journal by just going through and planning where I want to put things. So I'm just going to find a little safety, not a safety pin, paper clip even. And just clip that one into place, and that is the third envelope done. There we go. Okay, so we're coming together slowly but surely. So what I'm going to do now, I know what I haven't shown you. I have also completed the centre of the journal. I didn't take you through doing this because I did a bit of fussy cutting and that would have been a bit boring for you to watch. And making journal cards is the simplest thing to do. So you may recall that I used this particular page for the centre of the journal. And it's absolutely beautiful, but I did feel that it needed a little bit of something else. So what I did was I fussy cut around the design on the page, and then I made a couple of the journal cards out of the ephemera that you get in the kit, and I added a couple of the embellishments on there as well. And then I also lined it with some avocado dyed paper, which gives a nice little pink hue, which I think is lovely. And I've just made those to go inside. And as you can see, it's an invisible pocket, and that just slips really nicely into there. And then this one, I lined up the drink with the drink, and then the cake with the cake, which I thought was a nice little addition. And if you're asking the question, well, you can't actually see the cake because it's on the wrong side, I did that because when I put it there, I just felt it was all too busy and needed something a little bit less. So although the cake is on there and it can be seen, I just didn't want to fill up this whole section here with stuff because you've got quite a lot going on already down here, and with this embellishment as well, I just felt it was just a little bit too much. So I just put the cake on the side there, just peeking out, and that's the centre done now with two journal cards, which I absolutely love. I think that looks absolutely beautiful, so that's really nice. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to find some pages to do some more library cards, and I'm not really sure I'm actually set up for it, to be honest with you. That might have to wait because I'm not sure I've got the designs. Let me have a look and see what we've got that I can utilise for the other two pockets, because I need another two of these to go on these cards for the other two signatures. So let's have a look through and see what we've got. And it really is a case of when you're doing these things, when you're designing them yourself, what bits you want to use for what. I'm just thinking at the moment I could potentially get two pockets out of that one sheet, although that one would end up being the same as that one. So I'm going to use a different sheet. I wonder if I've got another one that will do the job. same one. I've got 2 of those. Yeah, I'd like to do some different ones potentially. I do love that. I think that's just a beautiful design. That would make a nice... No. Oh, that was an off print. There's another one of those. So we're back to this one. I could make one out of here, one from that one, and just trying to remember how I actually made this one. I'm just going to have a look at that and just remind myself how I actually made it, because there's lots of different ways of making these. Folds round. There's a little pocket there. I didn't stick it all the way down because there's a pocket there to put something into as well. I'm not sure I'm going to be using that as a pocket, but we shall see. I possibly might do. I left it as a pocket just in case. So I could use that as the front section. And use that as the top section. So I wonder if I've got another one of those somewhere that I could potentially use. Bear with me. Oh, that's nice. I didn't realise I had that one there as well. Sorry for stretching over. I'm just seeing what I've got in my little box of tricks. I quite like that one as well, actually. So ideally I need another one of these printing off. Although I'm going to use that one. Oh gosh, such decisions. I think let's have a look at those 4. We'll see what we're going to do with those 4, I think. Trials and tribulations of making journals, huh? Right, so the first bit I need will be this section here. If I was working with the paper that way round in the portrait position, I could actually make this library card pocket with one bit of paper. But because most of these designs are on the horizontal, what I need to do is actually make it in 2 sections. So the back bit first, and then the little pocket tucked around it, which is why I'm having a few thought issues at the moment to be able to make it all work. So let's work with this one first, because I really like that. I'm going to work with this one first and just show you one way of doing one of these cards. So I want that design, or do I, maybe the teapot and some of that on the front section there. And the front section is 8.5 centimetres, which is 3 3/8 of an inch. So 8.5 centimetres, and then allowing for a centimetre fold over, which is 8.5, 10 10.5. So I need a bit of paper that's 10.5 centimeters wide for the pocket. I'm just going to have a look at that and see how that fits on. So that's quite nice actually. I'm just going to grab a pencil and mark that up. So I ideally want to cut that there. Or do I? Maybe I don't actually. Maybe I want to go over that way a little bit further. No, because there's going to be, you're going to have a centimetre fold over, so I don't want to lose this spout of the teapot. So I think that's probably, I have done that wrong. It needs to be over this way more. 8.5. So that teapot is literally only just going to fit in there, isn't it? So if I 8.5, that'll just bring it in. So I'm going to go to there for the fold. I'm just going to bring that over there, and then that's where that will need cutting. Okay, I'm just going to line this up on the grid of my pad. And sorry if my head's in shot, my grid's all worn out down here. Let me see if I can bring it down so that I can see what I'm doing. So that's that there, and then if that's just lined up on that line there. That's about right. Okay, so let's go down there. That leaves me with that piece, and then this one, I'm just lining that up down that line there, just so I know it's straight. And I'd like to cut that on the line if I can, again just so I know it's straight. That's that one. Line that up there and bring that down. Okay, so let's give me another little cut. Oh, that would make a nice little belly band or bookmark, or perhaps even a tag. So we'll just hang on to that little piece. And now, I'm not going to lose too much there. So I'm just going to line that up there. And give myself a centimetre fold over. So that's a centimetre fold over there. And then the whole pocket height is, just bring that in, 10, sorry I need to put my glasses on, I can't read that, is 10.2-ish. Okay, so if we go up 10.2, which is there, and I'm just going to mark that so that I've got the height I need. So that's there. I'm just going to lay that against a line and then line the edge of the paper up against the grid. If you haven't got one of these grid mats, they're absolutely worth investing in. You can literally pick them up for a tenner, but they are really helpful. Only don't make the mistake I made of wiping them down with an alcohol cloth, because you just wipe the white lines off. Yeah, it's a stupid thing to do, but there you go. And then let's cut that off, and that will be my little pocket. So And again, I'm just going to line that up there. In fact, I'll line it up where I can see the grid lines again. I'm just going to fold that over 1 centimetre. That just allows for the wrap round. There we go. That's that one. Give it a good, where's my bone folder? There it is. Give it a good little burnish there. And then do the same again with this one. Just making sure everything's lined up so that you're getting your lines right. That's that one. Then just bend that up to get my score mark. And then bend it over. And that's that one. Okay. So in theory, oh, that looks cute. In theory, that pocket should be roughly the same size. It's not, it's actually a little bit wider. So I'm going to take that, I don't want to lose any more on that side. So I'm just going to take that over just a smidgen more. Just to make that. And the only reason I'm doing this and making sure it's a similar size is because I actually like that size. I think that sits really nicely on that particular half page there. And if it was any wider, I'd be taking away from the edge in there, which I think would be too much. So that's why I'm being a little bit particular about how wide the pocket is. So again, this is all about taking your time and making sure. So that's just about there, which is rather nice. And then that's a little bit higher than I want it to be. So again, I'm just going to, how's that ended up longer? Because I allowed for a fold over and there's no folder at the top, duh. Okay, so I'm just going to take off a little bit of that. Oh no, that's the fold over, so that does right. God, I nearly cut a bit off then, I didn't need to. Now that would have been tragic. Right, okay, I'm just going to put a little thumb notch in there now. Again, little thumb notch, I'm just using a 1-inch punch for the thumb notch. And again, just doing it by eye. And just so I get all of the little thumb notches about the same depth, I tend to go on that centre line there. So I line up the page to that centre line, which I find gives me about the depth of thumb notch, which for me is okay. Some people prefer deeper thumb notches, some people prefer more shallow thumb notches. And again, just doing it by eye and pop it out. There we go. How cute is that? And that now sits there, and that's lovely. Yeah, that's nice. So that's the pocket ready to go on the backing. So I'm just going to ink round that. And then I need to find a bit to sit in the top. And what I also want to do is I just want to just finish these bits off a bit so that it's not so bulky. So if we take that corner off there and that corner off there, that means when it's on the page you're not going to see a load of bulk or bits sticking out the top there. And then on this bit, I'm just going to miter these corners so that you end up with a nicer finish down there. And to do that, you just literally, I'll just ink those lines for you so that you can see where I'm cutting. You won't see this because it will be on the inside of the pocket, so I don't mind doing that. So there's your crossover, and if you come in just at a slight angle up to the little corner where the two lines meet, and then go out at a similar sort of angle on there, and that gives you your mitered corner. Okay, and then when that folds up, when you're sticking it on your page, you've got less bulk there to worry about. And when you do stick them, just a little tip that I've come across while I've been doing my journaling, is that if you bring the bottom edge over the outside of the flaps, when you go to put things in the pocket, they don't get trapped on this bit. I find that if you stick them inside, when you push things down, they get trapped on this inside bit here. So by sticking them on the outside there, they go, whatever you're putting in goes down these channels and it doesn't get stuck on here. So that's just a little old tipperoo for you. Okay, so that one's ready to be put onto the main part here, and the main part actually doesn't need to go all the way down because you're not going to see all of it. So where's the little bit that I cut off? Will that be deep enough? Not quite, although it might work, but that would actually give you a little bit of continuity on the design there, wouldn't it? If I did that, that looks quite nice. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Although that doesn't, oh mind you, that won't be there, will it? Yeah, when you're using these pages, just think about what the finished effect is going to be, because if I cut that off there, if I show you that bottle, sorry, let me just move my journal out of the way so I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So that's not going to go into the pocket very far, because the whole length of the pocket needs to be approximately 19.3. Oh gosh, that was my stomach. I hope you didn't hear that. 19.3 for the whole thing. So this envelope is 19.2. So that would be 19.3 would be roughly there. So that's not going to go into the pocket very far at all. It's enough for it to, oh, maybe not actually, because I can see that there. I don't think this is going to work. Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure this is actually going to work unless I make the pocket or the whole thing just very slightly shorter. What length does that give me? Let's have a look. That gives me 19.2. So it's not a million miles away. The but to all of this is, I'm not sure it's going to work anyway, because sorry guys, I'm faffing. That oil bottle is in the wrong place now. So even if I put that there, if I cut that off, I've got a step there that doesn't look right, because that oil bottle is now in the wrong place. So I don't want to use that. So let's have a look and see what else will work in there. I wonder if I've got another one of those that I could potentially end up cutting all of that off by going up slightly higher. Oh, I've just done all of that and I'm not sure it's actually going to work, if I'm completely honest. And I do want it to work. Let's here we go. Let's have a look at this one. Can I? That's got more height. Oh no, it hasn't got more height. Although I've got more there to work with. So let me have a look. See. And this is the beauty of when printing your own digitals, is you can print as many as you like. because that would work. That would work because now I've got continuity there of the pattern. I do believe. Where does that stem go? Got continuity of the pattern there. That works beautifully. I'm very happy with that. And what I was saying about continuity of the pattern, what I was saying about your digitals is you can print as many off and play around with it as much as you like. That I am very happy with. So I am going to now cut this before I change my mind again. So this section only needs to be as wide as the pocket because it's going to be going down the back. So I can't see where that mark was now. Where was that mark I just put on there? Jeez. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let's bring that down to a line so that I get that straight. So that's there. Again, apologies if my head's there. I really must get used to not doing that. Righty ho. So let's take that bit off. Okay. And now, look at that. How lovely does that look? Nice, huh? And I'm just going to take a small section of this bottom piece off because I don't need all of that there. I was just going to cut it any old how, but if I do that, I just know it's going to go horribly wrong. So we're just going to line that up there. Just going to, so that needs to come off about there. I'll take that off about there. And then, see that wraps around there like that. But I need to cut a bit off that end, that edge there. I need to take a slither off of there. And let's see how that now fits. That's fitting on there okay. And it just needs another tiny, tiny little slither off. Tiny, tiny. Let's pop those in the bin out my way. How are we doing now? Let's have a look. That's perfect. Right, so, and how does that line up? That lines up very nicely indeed. Very happy with that. So, just going to ink that little thumb hole, just to get the definition there. Yay, happy with that. Okay, so that's that bit. So I'm just going to glue that into place. Gloopy doopy doo. There we go. That's that bit. and a pin in the top. Can't get the pin in the top. There we go. Okay. Right then, I just want to make sure that this all lines up again before I commit to sticking it. That's perfect. Stick that down there. Stick that down there. And then fold that bit up there. Okay, and now we've got our little pocket. Yay! Okay, so now I want to cut a little bit off the top. And when I say a little bit off the top, I am talking not a lot at all. Maybe literally a centimetre. So I'm just going to take a centimetre off the top of that. Like so. And I'm going to round those corners like so. And we're going to knock everything over. And we're going to just finish those edges a little bit. And that is now ready to go in. Yay! How are we doing for time, guys? Let's have a look. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm just going to stick this in and we'll call that a day for now. Where are we? Where's my second? There we go. There. Just going to stick this in and then we'll call it a day. I think you've listened to me burbling on enough and had the pain of going through my thought processes. And this was a little Alice in Wonderland journal I did for my daughter. And a little bits in cut-offs that I didn't use, I've utilised for other things. So not a lot of waste. Just make sure those edges are well glued, especially the corner bits. There we go. Right then, let's get this in place. And I have stuck this one all the way down. The other one, you might recall, I left it as a little pocket. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to leave that one as a pocket. I'm not sure it'll work very well, but we'll take a look at that later. But this one I wanted stuck down in full because although each signature is going to be the same, there are going to be slight differences between them. And that's it. So that's that second pocket done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm sorry to have kept you as long as I have, but we're making progress. I'm going to try and do some videos a little bit more frequently. As I've explained before, my time gets eaten up a little bit. I work full-time as well, so yeah, sometimes it's difficult to find the time to sit and do these things. But we are slowly getting there. So thank you very much for joining me again today. Or if it was your first time, thank you for dropping by. If you can subscribe and like the channel and share it, that would be absolutely awesome. And enjoy the rest of your bank holiday. Thank you.